Welcome back to Shark Show. We've got a special edition today. And today on our special edition, we are going to talk about the City of Granbury put out a press release November 25th on the 120-day moratorium to consider about new development. So Nate, you want to kind of fill us in on what the City of Granbury did with this letter?
Because that wastewater treatment facility had a wrench thrown in the gears by the concerned people in Bentwater and Mallard Point, now they're trying to scare everybody by saying, hey, we've got this 120-day building moratorium we're going to consider, which, for contractors means less work, for developers means less deals, realtors less deals.
So you think it's kind of a scare tactic at this point, and why all of a sudden, this is a moratorium and this is urgent? You think it's more of a fear technique?
I think so. I think this is more of a push to kind of steamroll this through. And kind of get past that little bit of pushback they were having.
And if you look at the map where it's going to be, and I think the first wastewater treatment plant by Water's Edge, Harbor Lakes, that's going to be okay because they have already a water treatment plant. Mm-hmm. But it's further up and further through the city population that grows down the 377 corridor.
Yeah.
But if you look at the first paragraph and highlight the certain areas, and you could definitely read this document for yourself. But it says in there that this situation has been creeping up on the City of Granbury over the last several years. Well, if you've been part of the city and you're part of zoning and you're the city manager, if you call this growth creeping up on you, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You're not putting in what you're supposed to for this infrastructure.
Right.
And everybody for the last decade at least has known we've got a growth problem. So where is this creeping up on us?
I don't know, because this is definitely nothing new. This isn't a slow creeping that just all of a sudden sprang out of nowhere. We've been aware of this issue for quite a while now.
It's their lack of presence and foresight, and now they're throwing it back on the citizens like it's our fault, when in fact, they have emergency because they haven't done what they're supposed to do as city leaders.
And it seems like by them doing this, it's going to get people like the contractors, the builders, developers, and realtors all really pushing for this very unpopular wastewater treatment facility that they have planned to put out on Old Granbury Road. The people spoke up. They don't want it. A lot of businesses right there in that area don't want it. And, the city manager, he is pushing so hard for this. And we've seen him, get red-faced and everything else about it, and it's sad that it's come to this point, but he's clearly digging his heels in, and the city council and mayor, honestly, right along with him.
Yeah, they're just going away from, I think they want to tap the brakes and say, look, let's look at a regional plant, and we did discuss that in another video. And later on in this letter, they even bring up, because of the increased speed of development, that this issue has become so profound and so quickly for the Granbury and the city that they have to consider this moratorium. Well, this increased speed and development, and it's become so profound. Where have they been?
Right. It even says right here in the article, as far back as the late 1990s and early 2000s. This has been an ongoing issue. So,
Yeah, and you have to start peeling the layers back like an onion, right? Mm-hmm. And figure out what's really going on and why all the sudden interest of let's not look at the regional, let's just slam this through and get this done.
Yeah.
So as we started peeling back some of the layers, we started finding some interesting things. There's a company that I haven't seen anywhere, renditions, pictures, artist work, on a new development coming in. Mm-mm. And Nate, I think you were looking into some of this.
Yeah.
And what was the company's name?
That is New Era Granbury. They're part of what seems to be a conglomerate of New Era Town A, New Era Town B. This is just New Era Granbury, but it's all run by the same people. And what they have planned is this 50-acre multi-use development right there along 377, which guess what they're going to have before they can put this in?
A wastewater treatment plant.
Yep.
Because you know what's coming with it, right? You look at this website, go to neweracompanies.com, and you can look and see what they've already done. All the entitlements, platting, site civil engineering, and LOMR, which is the federal, flooding and things like that for flooding. And they've been achieved already.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this in the news?
I haven't seen or heard sight of it anywhere.
I haven't either. Have you, Courtney?
Nope, haven't.
And now they're working on the drainage, the infrastructure. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, you got a hotel coming in, 3 or 4 story hotel.
Yeah.
You got housing for seniors. You've got hospital. You've got retail and all this big project planned. And what do you need for that? Infrastructure,
Yep.
right?
You gotta have the infrastructure.
So once again, they're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and they've been behind the 8 ball this whole time. I mean, if you've lived here for longer than 10 years, you've seen how bad traffic gets in Granbury.
The infrastructure is not in place. And they've been it's been a miserable failure for the city and part of the county
Yeah.
on this infrastructure around Hood County and the city of Granbury. And, it has to be fixed. And this infrastructure doesn't go up overnight.
No.
And it takes time and time. But we've been behind the 8 ball, and now everybody wants to keep growing like we do have the infrastructure. And here we sit with the wastewater treatment plant.
Yep.
And there's a group of people out there that I've been talking with, and they say, maybe a moratorium wouldn't be a bad idea until we can get caught up on all the infrastructure and especially the traffic side of things.
But right now we're faced with the wastewater treatment plant, and there's the crossing at Lake Granbury, which I think is like when you peel apart that onion, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's not about you and me sitting in our houses. It's about this big development coming in.
I always like to look and see who the realtor was on these deals, and who the developer is and who they're tied to, because there's a lot of connections that are kind of subsurface that when you start discovering who's behind all this stuff, it's always the same group of people, seems like.
Well, and maybe we can look into it deeper, but they have a meeting December 2nd. They have a meeting, I guess 2 or 3 meetings for the public.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get this video out there and the public can see it and go ask questions and say, is this part of it? What's the reason? What are you planning on doing with the wastewater treatment plant? And, they can answer those questions for us rather than hiding it.
Right.
Yeah.
When you hide things like this, it just leaves room for speculation, and people are going to come up with all kinds of ideas. And it's just a better policy, in my opinion, to be more transparent about what's actually happening.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Truth and transparency, because it's our money. It's our tax money. Yep.
Yeah.
So when you go to the meeting on Wednesday, if people are going to go out there, please ask these questions. Please ask your city manager, your city council, what is going on and what's going to be the best overall for Hood County and the city of Granbury. And this has been a special edition of Shark Show. Shark Show out.